Well, the King of Ireland's son has gone to the Goban Saor, and his sword has been blackened. The sword of light was blackened, but the Goban Saor says that it must be bright to kill the king of the land of mist and cut the tress that will awaken the enchanter's daughter. So he tells the King of Ireland's son to go and find the unique tale and what went before its beginning and what comes after its end. And if he does that, then he will shine his sword for him and help him. So the King of Ireland's son had gone to Laheen the eagle, who told him he didn't know of the unique tale, but he knew of some who were older than him who knew of it. So they went to the river of Ox looking for some of these older folks. And having come to the river of the Ox, he sought the ford and waited there for Laheen the eagle. When it was high noon, he saw the shadow of the eagle in the water of the ford. He looked up. Laheen let something fall into the shallows. It was a wheel. Then Laheen lighted on the rocks of a waterfall above the ford and spoke to the King of Ireland's son. "Son of King Conall," she said, "roll this wheel before you and follow it where it goes. It will bring you first where Blackfoot the elk abides. Ask the elk, has he knowledge of the unique tale? If he has no knowledge of it, start the wheel rolling again. It will bring you then to where the crow of Achill abides. If the crow cannot tell you anything of the unique tale, let the wheel bring you to where the old woman of Bir lives. If she cannot tell you of the unique tale, I cannot give you any further help." Laheen the eagle then spread out her wings, and rising above the mist of the waterfall, she flew away. The King of Ireland's son took the wheel out of the shallow water and set it rolling before him. It went on without his touching it again. Then he was going and ever going, with the clear day going before him and the dark night coming behind him, going through scrubby fields and shaggy bog lands, going up steep mountain sides and along bare mountain ridges, until at last he came to a high mound on a lonesome mountain. And as high as the mound and as lonesome as the mountain was the elk that was standing there with wide, wide horns. Now, an elk, for those who don't know, it's like a very, very big deer. Maybe a deer that's the size of a moose or something like that. It looks different than a deer, though. It's a little woollier around the neck. The wheel ceased rolling. "I am from Laheen the eagle," said the King of Ireland's son. The elk moved his wide-horned head and looked down at him. "And why have you come to me, son?" said the elk. "I came to ask if you had knowledge of the unique tale," said the King of Ireland's son. "I have no knowledge of the unique tale," said the elk in a deep voice. "And are you not Blackfoot, the elk of Ben Gulban, one of the 5 of the oldest creatures in the world?" said the King of Ireland's son. "I am the elk of Ben Gulban," said Blackfoot, "and it may be that there is no creature in the world more ancient than I am. The Fianna hunted me with their hounds before the sons of Maelay came to the island of woods. If it was a tale of Finn or Caelta or Goll, of Oscar or Oisin or Conan, I could tell it to you, but I know nothing of the unique tale." Then Blackfoot the elk of Ben Gulban turned his wide-horned head away and looked at the full old moon that was coming up in the sky. And the King of Ireland's son took up the wheel and went to look for a shelter. He found a sheep-cote on the side of the mountain and lay down and slept between sheep. When the sun rose, he lifted up the wheel and set it going before him. He was going and ever going, down long hillsides and across spreading plains, till he came to where old trees and tree stumps were hardly standing close enough together to keep each other company. The wheel went through this ancient wood and stopped before a fallen oak tree, and sitting on a branch of that oak, with a gray head bent and featherless wings gathered up to her neck, was a crow. I come from Laheen the eagle, said the King of Ireland's son. What did you say? Said the crow, opening one eye. I come from Laheen the eagle, said the King of Ireland's son again. Oh, from Laheen, said the crow, and closed her eye again. And I come to ask for knowledge of the unique tale, said the King of Ireland's son. Laheen, said the crow. I remember Laheen the eagle. Keeping her eyes shut, she laughed and laughed until she was utterly hoarse. I remember Laheen the eagle, she said again. Laheen never found out what I did to her once. I stole the crystal egg out of her nest. Well, and how is Laheen the eagle? She said sharply, opening one eye. Laheen is well, said the King of Ireland's son. She sent me to ask you if you had knowledge of the unique tale. I am older than Laheen, said the crow. I remember Paralan's people. The salmon of Asaro always said he was before Paralan's people, but never mind, Laheen can't say that. If I could only get the feathers to stay on my wings, I'd pay Laheen a visit some day. How are Laheen and her bird flocks? O Crow of Achill, said the King of Ireland's son, I was sent to ask you if you had knowledge of the unique tale. The unique tale? No, I never heard of it, said the crow. She gathered her wings up to her neck again and bent her gray head. Think, O Crow of Achill, said the King of Ireland's son. I will bring you the warmest wool for your nest. I never heard of the unique tale, said the crow. Tell Laheen I was asking for her. Nothing would rouse the Crow of Achill again. The King of Ireland's son set the wheel rolling and followed it. Then he was going and ever going, with the clear day before him and the dark night coming behind him. He came to a wide field where there were field fares or ground larks in companies. He crossed it. He came to a plain of tall daisies where there were thousands of butterflies. He crossed it. He came to a field of buttercups where blue pigeons were feeding. He crossed it. He came to a field of flax in blue blossom. He crossed it and came to a smoke-blackened stone house deep sunk in the ground. The wheel stopped rolling before it, and he went into the house. An old woman was seated on the ground before the fire, basting a goose. A rabbit-skin cap was on her hairless head, and there were no eyebrows on her face. 3 strange birds were eating out of the pot, a cuckoo, a corncrake, and a swallow. Come to the fire, Gilly, said the old woman when she looked round. I am not a gilly, but the King of Ireland's son, said he. Well, let that be. What do you want of me? Are you the old woman of beer? I have been called the old woman of beer since your 4 great-grandfathers' time. How old are you, old mother? I do not know, but do you see the 3 birds that are picking out of my pot? For 20 years the swallow was coming to my house and building outside. Then he came and built inside. Then for 80 years he was coming to my house to build here. Now he never goes across the sea at all. And do you see the corncrake? For 80 years she was coming to the meadow outside. A score is 20 years. So if we had 80 years, that's 100 years, right? Because 5 times 20 is 100. Then she began to run into the house to see what was happening here. For 20 years she was running in and out. Then she stayed here altogether. Now she never goes across the sea at all. And do you see the cuckoo there? For 70 years she used to come to a tree that was outside and sing over her notes. Then when the tree was gone, she used to light on the roof of my house. Then she used to come in to see herself in a looking-glass. I do not know how many score years the cuckoo was going and coming, but I know it is many score years since she went across the sea. I went from Laheen the eagle to Blackfoot the elk, and from elk of Ben Gulban to the crow of Achil, and from the crow of Achil I come to you to ask if you have knowledge of the unique tale. The unique tale indeed, said the old woman of beer. One came to me only last night to tell me the unique tale. He is the young man who is counting the horns. What young man is he, and what horns is he counting? He's no king's son, but a gilly of the goatskin he is called. He is counting the horns that are in the 2 pits outside. When the horns are counted, I will know the number of my half-years. How old is that, old mother? My father used to kill an ox every year on my birthday, and after my father's death, my servants, one after the other, used to kill an ox for me. The horns of the oxen were put into 2 pits, one on the right-hand side of the house and one on the left-hand side. If one knew the number of the horns, one would know the number of my half-years, for every pair of horns goes to make a year of my life. Gilly of the goatskin is counting the horns for me now, and when he finishes counting them, I will let him tell the unique tale. But you must let me listen to the tale too, old woman of beer. If you count the horns in 1 pit, I will let you listen to the tale. Then I will count the horns in 1 pit. Go outside, then, and count them. The King of Ireland's son went outside. He found on the right-hand side of the house a deep quarry pit. Round the edge of it were horns of all kinds, black horns and white horns, straight horns and crooked horns, and below in the pit he saw a young man digging for horns that were sunk in the ground. He had on a jacket made of the skin of a goat. "Who are you?" said the young man in the quarry pit. "I am the King of Ireland's son, and who may you be?" "Who I am I don't know," said the young man in the goatskin, "but they call me Gilly of the goatskin. What have you come here for?" "To get knowledge of the unique tale." "And it was to tell the same unique tale that I came here myself. Why do you want to know the unique tale?" "That would make a long story. Why do you want to tell it?" "That would make a longer story. There is a quarry pit at the left-hand side of the house, filled with horns, and it must be your task to count them." "I will count them," said the King of Ireland's son, "but you will be finished before me. Do not tell the old woman of beer the tale until we both sit down together." "If that suits you, it will suit me," said Gilly of the goatskin, and he began to dig again. The King of Ireland's son went to the left-hand side of the house. He found the quarry pit, and went into it to count the horns that were there, black horns and white horns, straight horns and crooked horns. And now, while the King of Ireland's son is in the quarry pit, I will tell you the adventures of Gilly, the lad or the servant of the goatskin, which adventures are written in the Craneskin book.